Tanjiro Kamado, well, he was brought into this world very differently than you could possibly imagine. Because normally, he's born into this world. He's a normal human just like everyone else. But the thing is, this entire world is overrun by demons. And the thing is, the version of Tanjiro we'll be talking about today ends up on this world in a completely different manner. The way Tanjiro ends up on this world is through a completely different set of circumstances. A circumstance dealing with him and his family and his life and his people being, well, killed by an explosion of his planet. But with last seconds left to go, they're able to get their little kid out of there. They're able to get Tanjiro Kamado to safety. Obviously, going by the name of Kal-El for the moment, but when he arrives, his ship would crash land, and eventually the Kamado family would come across this ship and see that it's just a little baby. And immediately they're thinking that whatever this is, they need to hide it. Because this is a baby, a child, and they don't want anybody else realizing, freaking out, or learning of what this kid is, who this kid is, and where this kid came from. So they do everything in their power to kind of solve this. And initially there's arguments like, what do we do? Are you sure you want to do this? Stuff like that. But then the mother of Tanjiro decides, you know what? I do want this. I've wanted a boy for so long and I haven't gotten one. I haven't gotten a boy. I haven't gotten this, right? And all of this stuff. And what she wants is a boy. She wants a boy so badly. And that's what she says she's going to get. She's going to have a little boy. And he will be the little boy. And in doing so, this is the perfect chance for, obviously, her and Tanjiro and everybody to be a family. And cool enough, it's going to be their chance to really start anew. And Tanjiro's chance to kind of show who he is now that he is growing up in this type of scenario. And Tanjiro does grow up just like a normal kid, right? He's super nice, super sweet. He's really a family type of person. And he grows up to really love his mother, his family, and all the above. But the Tanjiro family, or the Kamado family, they're very honest. They're very honest about kind of what he is, what he's where he's come from, and all this stuff. And they even show him, right? He's basically invulnerable. I mean, he is extremely strong and on all of these things, and he helps his father, his mother, and so many more with so many different things. He hides the power he has, the strength and stuff like that for the most part from the normal public, but it makes their life a lot easier. Tanjiro helps with so many different things, helps with chopping wood, destroying things, building things, moving things, and all the above. And they just live a pretty normal life overall. That's until one day he's like, you know what? I want my family to have a really good New Year's, right? I want my family to live a really good New Year's. And with, my father gone and stuff like that, I want to make sure that we can enjoy it as a family, even with him gone. And he leaves. He leaves that same day to go sell coal to the village, and he does just that, and even helps out where he can. Literally helps out as much as possible. But this time around, he doesn't stop and go into basically a house and sleep through the night. He goes, and during the night, he would head up the mountain. And while he heads up the mountain, he would be attacked by a demon. But it'd be some sort of regular demon, right? And this demon would come out of nowhere trying to kill Tanjiro, but Tanjiro would fight back, and his strength is insane. So Tanjiro is able to fend him off, kick him off, and even punch him so hard that he gets sent flying, and Tanjiro would eventually just run away or get away, believing that he has no way of ending the creature. But as he arrives in the darkness and at his home, he would see just a glimmer of what's going on. He would see, with the moonlight shining on it, that his family, they have been butchered. His family's gone. He doesn't know how to feel. He doesn't know what to do, but he hears something. With his super hearing, he can hear his sister Nezuko. Yes, his sister, that's what he's going to deem her, breathing. can hear her breathing, and he runs over at insane speeds and picks her up and is like, I need to get her to safety. I need to get her to help. I need to get help for her. And as he's basically taking her away, the sun would be soon coming up, and he realizes, whoa, it took me this long to get back up here, and it was that damn demon. That damn demon stalled me out, and it made it so I couldn't get here before my family and my loved ones were hurt and bad things happened. I could have been here, but that damn demon slowed me down. And immediately he's thinking about all this, but he takes Nezuko and he's gonna leave and try to get her help until eventually she would attacking him and trying to kill him, basically strike him down. Eventually Tanjiro would get a hold of her and kind of pin her down to make sure that she's like not moving anymore. And Giyu Tomioka, a demon slayer, in fact, would come out of nowhere and tell the kid that they need to end her because she is a demon, blah, blah, blah. And Tanjiro tells him, like, no, this is my sister. We're not going to do that. And Tanjiro even proves to him that he can take care of himself when Tanjiro straight up, like, outspeeds Giyu out of nowhere. Like, his speed is insane. At least outspeeds him in the, a Giyu that wasn't expecting anything. And then when he dodges a punch from Tanjiro just barely, he can tell that it's an insanely strong punch because he shatters the tree right behind him. And Giyu realizes that this kid, he's something else. I mean, he might just be like Mitsuri. Like, he might be freakishly strong. And that right there, that's going to be ridiculous. And he immediately realizes that he has it under control, that Nezuko seems to be calming down. Tanjiro is strong enough to handle himself. And he decides to basically give him the opportunity to go train with his old master, Urokodaki, and that's exactly what they're going to do. And Tanjiro goes with Nezuko after this is all said and done, and he eventually arrives where Urokodaki is, just as basically another demon would arrive, the temple demon, and he would fight it off pretty easily. Nothing crazy, like he's not like super technical in his fighting style, but in terms of raw strength, he's able to fend it off super easy. And the demon doesn't really stand much of a chance, even with a Tanjiro that is not trained, not prepared, and just, using the raw power that he has. And when Urokodaki sees this, he realizes, whoa, this kid has so much potential, so much power, and that he needs to train him as much as possible. And that's exactly what he does. And luckily enough, Tanjiro's already extremely fit. His stamina is insane, so he doesn't need to necessarily go through the acts of training normally, right? He's just focused strictly on swordsmanship, strictly on fighting, and strictly on water breathing. And with this and the help of Sabito and Makomo, the spirits of Sabito and Makomo, he learns water breathing really, really fast. It even seems like his ability to kind of learn is really, really quick. Like, he's an extremely fast learner, and he picks up on things really quick. And, Urokodaki questions if the kid is even human. I mean, the things that he's giving off, what Giyu said was he might be like Mitsuri, one of the love-breathing Hashira, in raw strength, he's so powerful. But that's not it. That's not the only thing he can do. This kid is ridiculous in terms of strength, but he's also ridiculous in terms of his ability to move, his stamina, and all of these things. And before you know it, he's already prepared for the final selection. And let's just say Urokodaki believes that this kid might just be the next great demon slayer, might be beyond any other demon slayer that he's ever seen, especially if he continues building on his own technique, because that right there makes him ridiculous in terms of power. But he also realizes that a sword, it's not really good for him. It's not really his style. So he thinks to himself, he needs to get something where he can utilize his fists, his hands, because he really fights like his hands are truly a deadly weapon. Like his hands, his feet, and all those things are truly a deadly weapon. And that right there is something that's, obviously would make him very dangerous. And that's something that Urokodaki, continues to prepare when he's gone off to the final selection. Tanjiro goes through that final selection very easily, by the way, like very, very easily. I mean, he defeats every demon in that forest, but Orokodaki, while he's gone, he's working with something, trying to make like these kind of gauntlets or kind of like brass knuckles that have, you know, Nichiren type of thing. Like that is the idea that he wants to utilize, and eventually they come up with it. Eventually he's able to create like a blueprint of it, and when he sends it off, or when Tanjiro arrives, they send off the Nichiren ore and stuff like that, and they create that kind of brass knuckle like type of weapon. Eventually he gets that weapon, and it is perfect for him, like legitimately perfect, and he would be completely prepared to embark on his journey as a true demon slayer. But here's the thing, as a true demon slayer, he's supposed to be tested, he's supposed to be trialed. Like these demons are going to test him and make him feel like there is bits, right, that he's missing. But this first demon, it's not even close. Like, it's not even close at all. When this demon would eventually reveal itself, the swamp demon in a nearby village, Tanjiro would shut it down before you could imagine. I mean, he would shut down the demon instantly. I mean, making him look like a joke because of just his speed advantage. His speed, his strength, all of it. He's very, very quick to realize, the swamp demon is, that this kid, he's something else, and he needs to run away. Like, he needs to genuinely just run away. Like, there is no way for him to do this. This is a dumb idea. He needs to get the hell out of here. But before he could, Tanjiro's already on the offensive. Nezuko is helping him get an opening, and immediately as he would try to go through like one of his portals, Tanjiro would slice off the neck of the demon, or the head of the demon, just as the portal was basically going to envelop him. And with his brass knuckles, one singular punch / slice would end it just then and there. And let's just say, this isn't the end of the demons that are basically going to show up, but the one and only Muzan would be not too far away. Because when Tanjiro arrives at his next location, the city that never sleeps, it seems as if Muzan is there. Muzan is waiting, and it's not like Tanjiro or Muzan knew that Tanjiro was going to be there or whatever, right? But Muzan sees him, and he is pretty damn terrified. In a way, he's like, whoa, wait a minute. What is this kid? He's giving off like a different aura right now. Like, he's giving off a different sense. And Muzan himself can tell that he's not a human, but he's not demon either. He doesn't get it. How? What is he? A freaking alien? And in Muzan's head, he's kind of laughing it off. Like, oh yeah, alien, right? Like, nobody's an alien. That's stupid. But in a way, as he's thinking about it, as he's breaking it down in his head, it's getting more and more and more realistic. And that right there is a pretty scary thing. Something like this getting more realistic in your head, and you really thinking like, okay, maybe this is real. Maybe this is true. Maybe, just maybe, this guy is legitimately an alien. That is the worst thing to try to kind of break down in your head. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a pretty messed up thing to try to think about, and a pretty horrible thing to like really try to get down in your head. And at the end of the day, I mean, he's thinking, no, this can't be real. Like, there's no way that this dude is like an alien, right? He's no way that this dude is a full-on alien. And he refuses in his own brain to put that together, and eventually he would kind of, you know, send Tanjiro away by having a demon kind of show up and stuff like that, and eventually would for the most part be like, okay, I'm gonna make a demon so this kid can't keep up, and the demon would be defeated quickly. Like, Tanjiro would straight up defeat the demon, but Muzan would be gone. And Tanjiro's just thinking to himself that if people weren't around, if people weren't here right now, that he would have taken out Muzan swiftly. He would have took him out immediately. I mean, he doesn't know for sure if he even can, But immediately he was thinking like, I wanted to get rid of him. I wanted to get rid of him right then and right there. And at the end of the day, he would have deserved it. He would have deserved it hands down. And it pisses Tanjiro off that he didn't get that chance and he didn't take him out, because he wants that guy gone. Because Muzan, did horrendous things, and he hurt his family. And he can't swallow the idea that he's just there, right? He can't swallow this idea that he hurt his family so much that he can't even do anything about it, and it frustrates him so much. But eventually he would get a chance to talk with someone else, or a chance to talk with two other demons that are actually not bad demons, which is interesting, right? And Tanjiro's like, whoa, well, normally I swore like, they're all bad or whatever, but they tell him like, no, like, we don't feast on humans or anything like that. And this is Lady Tameo and Yushiro, and they all talk for a little bit, and the conversation kind of divulges into who Tanjiro is, where he comes from, how he got here, and what he is. And Tanjiro kind of minorly explains what he is and where he came from, but other than that, he doesn't really have recollection of a lot of it. But he also doesn't want to give away everything, and he just doesn't trust it. And eventually more demons would show up, and well, these demons would obviously be trying to get rid of Tanjiro, but Tanjiro would be so pissed by this. Seeing these two demons would make him realize that he let that guy get away. He let Muzan get away, and the rage would build up so much that he would immediately use laser vision that he's never seen before, heat vision, that he just immediately slices them in half. And he's in shock, like, what did I just do? How did I do it? And the other demons, Lady Tameo and Yushiro, are in shock as well, thinking, what is this guy? That was probably the most terrifying thing they've ever seen, and they don't want him around right now because they do not want to meet the same fate. But Tanjiro tells him that he's good, I'm good. Don't worry, you have nothing to worry about. You're safe. In which the demons would even perish, and the Lady Tameo and Yushiro would be like, whoa, how did that work? You didn't, no sun, no slicing the head off, whatever, anything like that. And Tanjiro looks at them and says he doesn't know. He has no clue, and he doesn't know where his powers come from. But at the end of the day, a Kryptonian, we know where his powers come from, and that's the sun itself. And Tanjiro's first taste of heat vision might just be a way for him to eliminate demons that quickly. And that right there is something that he could not even fathom, and something he didn't know was even a thing. But when he went to go, or when he goes to try to use it again, he feels like he can't. Like there's a roadblock there. Maybe there's a way for him to figure it out. Maybe there's a way for him to utilize it more. But right now, he's kind of like at a roadblock thinking, well, I can't really use it. I don't have full control. I don't know how to use it. And honestly, I don't want to destroy a bunch of the city trying to, utilize it either. I don't want to destroy anything. And he decides to hold off on it. And maybe it's just a rage thing. He got so angry, so he's able to push himself to do so. So he holds off on that. He talks to Lady Tameo and Yushiro one last time. They speak about curing Nezuko, and then he's off to the races to basically go to his next mission, where he meets up with Zenitsu, and he basically gets Zenitsu to listen and go with him on a mission, tell him like, look, you're not going to die, everything's going to be fine, but we got to go and, save some people, slay some demons and all that stuff. And that's exactly what they end up doing. They head off to a nearby mansion to save basically the brother of two little kids. And Tanjiro is faced off after getting split up with a Kyogai, actually a former member of the 12 Kizuki. But Tanjiro tells him that he has no time for this, no time to talk, no time for, wait, what? And then he realizes, he hears something. What is that sound? And Kyogai's like, what are you even on about? Like, that sound. And then out of nowhere, this boar-masked kid would come busting through the top of the roof. And Tanjiro's like, that sound. That's the sound I was referring to. And immediately, Inosuke's like, oh, I'm gonna slay this demon, I'm gonna then defeat you, and blah blah blah. And Tanjiro's like, what is even happening? Like, what is this? And then Inosuke looks closer at him, is like, whoa, those are some really awesome gauntlets. Like, those are on your fists. Is that how your fists normally look? In which Tanjiro's like, shrugs his shoulders. He's like, yeah, I guess. Like, I don't use a sword like, like normally. It's just not my thing. So I use these, and it just helps me, fight and stuff like that. And Inosuke would hear this, and he would then yawn and basically say like, oh, well, that's boring. So I'm gonna go fight this demon now. And you go charging at Kyogai, and Tanjiro's thinking, all right, this kid, man, he was so dumb. Like, he's out there. And then he would get smacked by Kyogai, and Tanjiro would be forced to basically back him up, in which he does pretty easily. Kyogai can't keep up with the speeds that Tanjiro is moving at, and with a combination of his natural speed as a Kryptonian, and on top of that, his ability to utilize concentration breathing, this makes quick work of Kyogai, and Kyogai has his head basically taken off pretty quickly, and before you know it, he's on the ground, defeated, and Tanjiro is standing above him, taking the blood away from him so that eventually he can cure his sister. But he was thinking to himself as well, maybe, just maybe, the reason, or there's a way for them to save his sister, way for him to save basically Nezuko, and that would be through maybe utilization of maybe his own blood. But that's something that he can't really figure out right now, and really doesn't know much about right now. But at the same time, he's gonna have to figure something out, like, eventually. So what he does is he kind of, like, helps out, cleans up the rest of the mansion. They save everyone they possibly can, and before you know it, Inosuke's out there trying to fight Tanjiro all over again, and Tanjiro just easily defeats him very easily, swiftly, and everyone's like, okay, well, it's pretty obvious who's, the top of the food chain here, and it's pretty obvious who's better in terms of fighting, in terms of strength, in terms of all the above. And yeah, there's no way Inosuke is going to be able to keep up, and no way that he should even be fighting. In any stretch of the imagination, he should not be fighting against Tanjiro, not just because he's going to lose, but also because you might want to hold on to it for your own well-being and safety, and it's probably stupid to keep trying to throw your head at somebody who you got no chance at defeating. And at the end of the day, Inosuke somewhat understands that, and he kind of, decides, all right, I'm not going to continue trying to beat up Tanjiro and defeat him or do this or do that. So he's like, all right, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stop. So he does just that. He stops, and he stops trying to hurt him. And they all go off on their kind of like their own merry way as a group to head off to their next location. And that next location is a brief stop. Everybody needs a break from time to time. And that's exactly what they're going to get. They're going to get a little bit of a break. This old lady, grandma type of folk would help them out, give them a bit of a break, feed them and stuff like that, which is always cool and nice and dandy. So they're able to get, fed. They're able to just wrap their head around what's going on and stuff like that. And eventually they are all prepared. They are all ready, and they're all headed off to the very next location, where there is some questions, right? Mount Natagumo is a place where they're a little bit worried. A place where a lot of these demon slayers, they have been found, or they're basically told that, or they're basically missing. Like, they're like, whoa, okay, so what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Like, is everything okay? Like, what should we do? And at the end of the day, it seems as if, there is a lot of them that are fully kind of in a pretty bad predicament. But luckily, Tanjiro's able to, like, dash around extremely fast, free them all up, and even defeat the demon that is currently holding them still. And that would also include an eventual fight with the father spider demon, where he's able to basically strength the father spider demon. There's no way he's going to get knocked away, thrown across the area and stuff like that. and he's basically able to defeat him and able to defeat and help Inosuke right then and there. But eventually, before you know it, he would be face to face with the main demon that is there, and that is Rui. He's face to face with Rui, and Tanjiro believes that with everything he's been doing, all the preparations, all the strength, all the management, everything he's been going through, this is his time. His time to put down one of the members of the 12 Kizuki and put down someone like Rui. But as he's about to basically fight Rui, he gets a weird sensation, a feeling of like there's this power or this thing that is making him weak. He doesn't know what it is, where it's coming from, or what's even happening, but he looks at Rui and he has something in kind of like the side of his pocket, something that looks like an odd looking gem. And Rui realizes that Tanjiro is like collapsing and hurting, and he walks closer to him and it gets worse, and it seems like Tanjiro is completely out of it, unable to basically move. And Rui's like, oh, wait a minute, this is interesting. And he asks him, are you afraid? Is something going on where you're scared and I'm putting so much fear into you that there's nothing left for you to basically figure out? There's nothing else there. And Tanjiro doesn't say anything. He's just struggling, trying to get basically away from him. And eventually Inosuke would show up, and Inosuke would start fighting him. Inosuke would start fighting alongside Nezuko. And as they push him away, eventually Tanjiro's gets better. Like, he feels better. Now, he doesn't feel at full strength, but he feels better. And he would look at Inosuke and point at the pocket of Rui and tell him there's something there, and basically to get rid of it. And Inosuke, the next time he gets an opening with the help of Nezuko, he does get rid of it. That little thing we know as kryptonite. And of course, Rui has no idea what it's all about. He just seen it and he just felt like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, let me pick it up. And it was something he's never seen before in all of his years as a demon. So he decides, oh, I'm going to pick it up and see what this is all about. So he does just that, picks it up, and unfortunately puts Tanjiro in a spot where he is way weaker, but not weak enough to just not defeat him. And Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Nezuko, team up, and they defeat Rui altogether. And Tanjiro's basically able to help defeat him, still with pretty decent strength, but he's way weaker than he normally is. And what he realizes later on, especially after all this is said and done, after he is sent off to the Butterfly Mansion with his sister Nezuko, and they basically have to hammer away at the idea of like, oh, Nezuko can't be a demon slayer, and then eventually she is allowed to be one. But one thing he realizes is that when he's standing out in the sun, he feels the power coming back. He feels the strength ensue within his body, and he also realizes that everything that he has, his strength, everything, his abilities, must come from the sun itself. So the demons at night, it makes things a little bit different, a little bit difficult. But if they can keep that little rock away, that little rock that basically takes away his strength and ability, and they're able to allow him to harness the sun, this can truly help them take every single demon out of the equation. And after talking to the Hashira and the master of all the Hashira, Ubuyashiki, that conversation would be a very important one, because it's one that could truly mean that they can take out and stop the demons for good. Stop Muzan and stop everything that's been happening from ever happening again. They don't know who he is, where he's come from, and what is going on. But wherever he came from, whatever planet, whatever area, whatever place you could think of, all they do know is they're happy that it happened, because it seems as if Tanjiro Kamado might be the answer to stopping these demons, because they have every advantage in the book. So why are the humans not allowed at least one singular advantage? An advantage of having an alien on your side known as a Kryptonian, and borderline a Superman. Now that right there is something they'll think about and something they know they'll be prepared for the next time they face off with the demons. But for now, that is the end of part 1 of 2 of what a Tanjiro was a Kryptonian. Tanjiro Kamado, well, he's been training, he's been preparing, and he's been fully preparing himself to be ready for whatever that is ahead of them. And the thing that is, well, mostly ahead of them is just flat out figuring out exactly what needs to occur and what exactly needs to happen when involving himself and, well, many others in basically what these other demons are trying to destroy, what these demons are trying to do in terms of a full-on takeover. And, well, Tanjiro continues trying to, like, learn, to train, and all of the above, but he does decide to go work with another person and another, well, Hashira, believing that he would get the most from this, and that would be Kyojuro Rengoku. He would meet up with Rengoku, also with Inosuke and Zenitsu, and they would meet up at the Mugen train. And when they meet up over there, well, Tanjiro is basically just really watching Rengoku do the things he does. He initially would watch him defeat some train demons, very easily in fact, and then eventually they would be put to sleep. But the thing is, Tanjiro actually isn't affected by this sleep like the rest of them are. He's actually not affected by this sleep really at all. So he's able to help out with kind of keeping everybody safe. And even before they would, like, you know, be fully awakened, Tanjiro would shut down everything. He'd be able to dash through, slash through, and basically destroy the entire, like, all these demons and all these tendrils that are coming out of the train. And then eventually Rengoku and also his Zenitsu and Inosuke would wake up, and they would just like that would slash through the demon, and Tanjiro would make quick work of the demon by the name of Enmu. And let's just say this is not the last fight that is going to happen, because another demon would show up by the name of Akaza, and Akaza would show up with something that is basically going to make this fight a lot more difficult. And Akaza shows Tanjiro this, shows him something that they believe is going to be a weakness to an extent, because they saw through the eyes of Rui that Tanjiro had some sort of weakness to, like, this rock or some sort of elements, and Akaza shows it, but Tanjiro is at a good enough distance where it's not affecting him, and Tanjiro kind of laughs at him, saying like, oh yeah, that's not gonna work, and blah blah blah, in which Akaza's like, yeah, whatever, it doesn't matter either way, and he throws the rock far away and says that he never wanted to fight with that stupid thing anyways. And Tanjiro sees this and thinks, oh yeah, this guy, he messed up, and he messed up really badly, because Tanjiro begins fighting with Rengoku, and they start putting the pace on Akaza, frankly putting him on such a back foot that Akaza doesn't know what to do. Like, he legitimately can't keep up. Akaza's falling behind massively, and Akaza legitimately cannot keep up with the pace that they are currently fighting at. And this right here is making him realize, like, oh no, like, this is not good. I should have really kind of, like, stayed in the right mindset. I really should have taken the advantage, or if it was going to be advantage, I should have taken it, because I am really in a bad spot now. And he realizes that Tanjiro and Rengoku together are completely different. Like, in terms of a fight, this is a completely different fight, something he never imagined he'd be going through, but he's going through it now, and he's defending himself the best he possibly can. But it's pretty obvious that Tanjiro has a massive advantage, and eventually he would show something off as well. He would show that the power that he has is ridiculous, and the power that is being portrayed really is showing. And And Akaza tries to go and get the gem, or kind of like the kryptonite once again, but he can't get a hold of it before Tanjiro is able to legitimately defeat him, utilizing his laser eye vision, cutting off Akaza's neck. And right then and there, one of the Upper Moon 3 is defeated right now. And that right there would make Muzan really, really fearful. Because guess what? Someone like this, someone at the level of Akaza is defeated by this person. Well, there needs to be preparations. And Muzan realizes that he needs to prepare whatever he can to stop this Tanjiro guy, just like he gave Akaza basically the opportunity to do so. But Akaza decided that he wanted a fair fight, and he didn't want to, you know, throw away his morals to make sure that Tanjiro was defeated. But Muzan, he believes that whatever is going to happen, it needs to happen in the proper way. Not only does he need to conquer the sun, but he needs kryptonite to make sure that Tanjiro is defeated. And he now knows that the only way to defeat him is he's gonna have to do it himself. So he decides to kind of hold off on really sending anybody directly at Tanjiro, like sending somebody to, you know, specifically go after him. And he doesn't trust the fact that basically they're going to utilize the kryptonite properly, because guess what? They already have lost 2 pieces of it. One was, you know, accidental with Rui, but the other one, legitimately, Akaza just didn't want to utilize it because he believed that, oh, like, I can defeat him and I'm not going to play on that type of playing field, and I'm going to actually, you know, have a fight with him, and which was a terrible idea. And so Tanjiro would basically head back to the Butterfly Mansion, and he would continue kind of training, continue working on his skills, and continue just getting stronger, getting better, and all of the above, and kind of understanding his power more and more, and even kind of delving into what he knows as sun breathing, but he can't really get a grasp on it the way he would have in the original timeline because of where he came from, him not being of the bloodline. But at the same time, he kind of learns a little bit, tries to figure some things out, and he does what he can in like an overall sense with his training, because in terms of physical training, it's not like he can really do a ton. I mean, we're talking about somebody who's at peak performance, and on top of that is an alien that has super strength that gets powers from the sun. So it's really just technical performance at this point. So he's just trying to work on his ability to utilize his own capabilities and get better, get stronger, and just be more prepared overall. But with that said, he would then go on his next mission, where he goes with Tengen Uzui to help out, basically search for Tengen's wives. But this mission with Inosuke and Zenitsu would go pretty well. I mean, Tanjiro would be able to kind of play the role of, like, you know, him being one of the wives, or being a wife, right? And then he gets put into like a brothel and stuff like that. But of course, when he fights Daki for the first time, he would allow, or basically force, Daki into showing off her brother by the name of Gyutaro. And this is when a fight would truly break out. But at the same time, Gyutaro and Daki are pretty damn scared of Tanjiro, because this is the same guy, same kid that legitimately defeated an Upper Moon 3. I mean, this is a version of a demon slayer that is at a completely different level, and those little hesitations, those little fearful moments allowed him and Tengen and Zenitsu and Inosuke to basically find a way to defeat them very, very quickly without any real casualties. And Tanjiro would then basically defeat, or help defeat, these other demons. And as he progresses, he continues to learn more and more on how to use his heat vision, but also the fact is he's able to utilize so many other of his capabilities at an extremely high level. And Tanjiro would continue this idea as he would basically be able to take on and take down various demons and various other demons that kind of just show up. And during this time, he would actually be put as a Hashira, and they would question like, oh well, what type of Hashira should he be? Like, what should he, end up being? And there isn't really a name for him exactly, because they don't know where he's comes from, but they end up just saying that he is a Hashira, and it will be a name pending type of thing for now. But Tanjiro kind of says like, Tanjiro is just fine. You don't need to call me any specific Hashira. Call me Tanjiro. That's all it needs. That's all that matters. And they basically say, well, we already have a water breathing Hashira, but Tanjiro does quite a bit more than just water breathing. And they decide, you know what? How about we just call you the sun breathing Hashira, believing that, well, he does get his powers from the sun. And at the end of the day, he has been working on sun breathing to an extent, but that's what it is. He is the sun Hashira, and that's probably more kind of realistic to talk about, is that he's the sun Hashira, not a sun breathing Hashira, getting his powers from the sun. It seems that Tanjiro is really, really well capable of defending himself and many others as well. And during this time, well, let's just say he would be working out, preparing, and also training from time to time. But eventually he would get word that actually at the swordsmith's village, there is a entire battle breaking out. Like demons, Hashira alike are all fighting, and they are basically in need of some sort of help. And Tanjiro is saying like, well, at the end of the day, they need to somehow basically get over there. Excuse me. And he doesn't know how that's going to happen. But at the same time, he's been working on something. He's been preparing something, and he feels like he can do it, but he doesn't know for sure if he'll be able to. But it might just make him fast enough to where it doesn't matter. In which he tells them that if they give him the location of the village, the swordsmith's village, he'll get there and he can help out. In which, unfortunately, they're like, or initially they're saying, oh no, we don't want to do that. That could really like mess things up. It could lead to even more attacks. But he tells them straight up, like, it could lead to more attacks. Like, we're already being attacked. Things need to happen, and they need to happen now. So they decide to give him the location, and he begins to sprint as fast as possible and goes really quick, like really fast. But as he starts doing that, he jumps up and tries to legitimately fly. He struggles a bit and even crashes around sometimes, but then eventually he gets the hang of it and he begins to fly as fast as possible to the location. And just like a missile out of nowhere, he would come barreling in, immediately helping defeat Gyoko, as basically Muchiro and Gyoko are fighting. Tanjiro would come out of nowhere and basically just obliterate him, and then help cut his neck off as he is defeated. And Muchiro would tell him to go help the others as quick as possible, and that he'll make sure that the other, any other demons that need to be cleaned up, he'll clean them up, and the rest of the people will be safe. And Tanjiro would then fly off to go help Mitsuri, and Mitsuri would just watch as this thing in the sky. She's wondering, is it a bird? What is it? Like, what is going on? And she sees him fly through and slice through with his laser vision Hantengu. And he would do so in a way where Hantengu would be full on defeated. And Mitsuri would watch him in complete and utter awe. Believing that this is like her perfect man. Like, he is stronger than her. He is, way stronger than her, faster and all the above. And he seems to be out of this world. And, it's because he legitimately is out of this world. But the thing is, during all this happening and everything that occurs, all this happens before sunrise. And Nezuko is never even given the opportunity to even conquer the sun. So the idea really for Muzan to come out and do this large fight isn't something that is going to ensue and not something that is going to really happen. But Muzan does know is that he needs an opportunity, because Tanjiro is going to affect everything that happens for years to come. They don't know how long he'll be alive. They don't know how long he'll be here, but he needs to find a way to kill him and get rid of him. So one day, after maybe a year or two of everything progressing, and eventually Nezuko actually being cured because of, all the trials and all of that stuff, Nezuko would be cured. Tanjiro would still be a Hashira on a mission on his own, but this mission is to lure him out, and there's one person waiting for him, and that is Muzan. Muzan is waiting, lures Tanjiro out, and goes to make a move on actually ending him. And the idea is he's either going to end him or he's going to take over his entire body, showing up with kryptonite and then making it so the kryptonite itself basically is pierced through his skin. He's unable to really get rid of it. He's unable to really find himself a way out of this situation. And Tanjiro struggles and he hopes, he doesn't know what to do. The crows begin to call and the crows send themselves away trying to get help for Tanjiro. But Tanjiro struggles. He tries to help himself, and Muzan tells him that this right here was the moment he's been waiting for. Not so that he can end Tanjiro, but so he can take him over and he'll never be able to really stop him ever again. This little superhero, Superman-like persona of his is going to be gone forever. And as this is all being said, as all this is being kind of brought to the attention, or their attention, out of nowhere Muzan could feel a insanely powerful kick send him flying, and he's like, what just happened? What was that? What the hell was that? And out of nowhere, someone would come barreling forward, flying at Muzan, tackling him and flying him straight up into the sky. As this is happening, Tanjiro's basically almost out cold, he is losing consciousness, and he just sees this person flying straight up into the sky, and it seems to be flying further and further and up and up and away, all the way to what it looks like the sun. As basically Muzan is pushed all the way up there, Tanjiro would then pass out, and as he passes out, everybody would eventually show up, get the kryptonite out of his system, and then as the sun would eventually rise, Tanjiro would be healing up via the sun, and he would then see something. He would see someone floating back down. He'd look up, and he realizes this might be somebody he knows. This could be someone he knows, and as he looks, he squints his eyes a little bit and then opens them widely, and he would realize who it is, at least to an extent. He realizes that it's someone from Krypton, and this person is his cousin, Kara Zor-El. And this would shock him entirely, and ask how, when, and what happened, in which she would explain what happened, how long it took her to get here, and really what happened in terms of her, legitimately being stuck in basically limbo. But once she arrived, she felt the power basically build up in her, and the longer she was here, she realized the more power she had. But then on top of that, one day she decided to come looking for Tanjiro, looking for her cousin, and eventually she would find him, but she found him weakened with kryptonite in his system, and a creature she's never seen before over him, about to end him. So she did what she had to do, and she also assumed that probably the best place to kind of defeat him was throwing him into the sun, because, well, she's heard little rumors ever since she's gotten here that demons are around and they only come out during the night and they are weak to the sun. In which, of course, everybody hearing this, the Demon Slayers alike, they're thinking, whoa, this is insane. There's two of them now. In which Kara nods her head and says that she was sent here to take care of her cousin, but unfortunately, things went a little awry. So she is happy that he was able to find a good home with the Demon Slayers and a good home with so many other people, and that they've treated him so well and they've treated him properly throughout this entire time. And they eventually would come to terms, everybody would, on the idea that Muzan has now been defeated. He's now gone, and this super-powered alien being was the reason for this. But even with this said, with power, when power comes, it greets other, well, challenges. And when powerful people show up, they greet other challenges. So the reality is the demons may be gone, or at least most of them now would be gone, or, you know, the extermination of them would ensue, and Muzan would be the tip of the iceberg with it, but everything else would fall into place. Yes, Muzan and the demons would eventually, after a year or two, would be exterminated entirely. It doesn't mean that this world will be safe, be happy, and be perfect from here on out, because, well, at the end of the day, 2 Kryptonians showed up on this planet, and that could invite way more challenges and challengers than you could imagine. Maybe some even worse than the demons themselves. But with that said, that's not for a story now. That may be for a story for another day. But this is the end of What If Tanjiro Was a Kryptonian. So if you enjoyed, please show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, and leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed. And like I said, if you did, show some love to the video. And yeah, that's really all I got to say. Hope you guys enjoyed. And I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.